So CA versus CPA, the amount of times that we've been asked this question, we thought we'll make a video and get all your doubts clarified. Generally, there are two kinds of candidates who land up always following up with us on this question. One are obviously already existing qualified CAs who need to upskill themselves and they want to understand what are the similarities and the differences between CA and CPA. And separately, there are those who, for whatever reason, are not able to clear CA or have yet not started it, but they're not sure if they want to start CA and commit themselves to completing this course for the next 5 years, and they're looking for various options. So when they come across CPA, they want to know the differences to in turn help them make this decision. So in this video, we're going to cover not only what the gist of the two courses are in terms of the syllabus and the academic structure, but the eligibility, the scope, as well as the fee structure. First, the eligibility. CA, as most of us would know, as soon as you've cleared your grade 12 in India, you will be able to appear for your CPT, which is the first level of CA. If you've completed a graduation, you get an exemption from the first level and you directly start with Inter CA or IPCC. When it comes to CPA, now CPA's eligibility is probably the most complicated eligibility criteria across any qualification that is out there. But to put it simply, at least for our Indian viewers, right? Number one, as long as you've cleared your BCom and 1 year of MCom, you will be eligible. Second, if you've cleared your Inter CA Group 1, IPC Group 1 or anything above that, you will be eligible. 90% of the audience which comes to us, candidates which come to us are under this category. If you are currently in your graduation or you've just graduated and you are wanting to appear for CPA, my suggestion to you is you can start studying it, but you should apply for MCom, at least complete 1 year before you would be able to give the CPA exam. So let me get into the academic structure. CA, as most of us would know, is split into 3 levels. There is CA Foundation, there is IPCC, and then there is Final CA. The CA Foundation has 4 papers, IPCC has 8, and Final CA has 8 papers again. IPCC and Final CA are also split into 2 groups of 4 and 4. I'm assuming most of this information, most of you all would know. If not, we again have a detailed video on CA which you all can have a look at. The primary subjects which CA covers are accounts, audit, tax, financial management, costing, and law. Right? This is what a chartered accountant becomes an expert in. He or she will basically master everything in the field of finance and accounts. Coming to CPA, the academic structure of CPA is relatively simple. There are only 4 exams in CPA. The first one is FAR, which is financial and so basically it's accounting, which covers US accounts, US GAAP. Second is an audit paper, which is again similar to the Indian audit. Third is what they call regulation. Now, regulation for US is US tax and US laws. And the fourth paper is BEC, which is business environment concepts. That covers a little bit of business, a little bit of financial management, and a little bit of management accounting. So giving the 4 papers for CPA is relatively much simpler than the amount of levels and papers that are there in CA. Second major point of difference is CA, the duration. Now, again, as most of you all would know, if you clear all the levels of CA in one attempt, you can take around 4.5 to 5 years. Unfortunately, the CA average duration is 7 years, 8 years, depending on the state you are from. In contrast, CPA, you can complete the entire qualification anywhere between 6 months to 1.5 years on an average, right? We've seen most people finishing it within a year comfortably, but you can take anywhere between 6 to 18 months depending on your speed. Lastly, criteria to pass. The biggest problem for CA is the passing rate, which again, if I take all the 3 levels and I average it out, it comes to a single-digit passing percentage, which means out of 100 people, less than 10 clear CA all in one go. The reason is also not because the exams are, unimaginably difficult or the correction is extremely strict. The flaw in the system, or at least the flaw for the students, is the fact that in CA, if I appear for one group of exams, I have to mandatorily give 4 papers. Giving 4 papers within a week is difficult, but on top of that, you are forced to clear all the 4 papers. So what that means is out of 4, if I clear 3, but I fail 1, I'll have to reappear for all the 4 again. And that's what really stretches across for a lot of students, why they land. Because imagine if you're in your final level, there are 8 exams and you are just not able to clear one, you've got to give 4 or 8 papers again and again every 6 months, and that really we've seen so many candidates, it just drains their energy out. However, that is also the reason why CA is that reputed, that respected, because once you get through it, everybody in the industry understands what it takes to clear such an exam. So it's the effort to reward ratio which you need to keep in mind for CA. Similarly, for CPA, the passing rate, so CPA's correction is not like our Indian system where it's a paper on 100 and you get marks. It's essentially percentile based. You need 75 percentile or higher to clear your CPA exams, and that you can't predict. You'll have to practice, you'll have to ensure that you're prepared for any kind of paper that comes, and hope that basically when the results are declared, you would have scored more than 75%. That is why when we train candidates for CPA, we focus a lot on mock exams, because if you give in exam conditions while locking yourself in the room for the same number of hours as the exam and actually typing out the answers, trying to solve it the way you would have solved it in the exam, you do it once, you might score okay. You do it twice, thrice, but if you do it more than 3 times and then you appear for the real exam, the chances of you not clearing that exam drastically drops. Right? So these are the primary differences when it comes to the academics of CA and CPA. And finally, the fee structure. Now, CA, if you finish it start to end, right, you take training for all the 3 levels, assuming you clear most of it in one go, the cost of CA doesn't exceed more than 2.5 lakhs across the entire duration, right? And this includes everything, what you pay for registration, for exam fees, for training fees, for study material, everything. CPA on an average will be anywhere between 3 to 4 lakhs depending on when you give the exam, where you give the exam. When I say when, it's because the dollar rate fluctuates. When I say where, because now we have the option of giving the exams in India, but you also, before the pandemic, people had to go to Dubai or US itself to give the exam. So there the cost goes slightly higher. But otherwise, it's around 3 to 4 lakhs. And again, this includes everything, the registration, the eligibility aspect of it, the study material, the training fees, even something which we call the license fees for CPA. Everything included comes to around 4 lakhs. And the last bit is the articleship. Now, CA, as we all know, you've got to work 3 years mandatorily post your IPCC and before you appear for your final CA. In CPA also, you need to work. However, there is a 1-year working period and you can do it before, during, or after your exams. All you need to do is you need to have the experience validated by an existing CPA. So with that said, I think these are the major points that I've heard CAs or even people who are contemplating between CA and CPA wanting to know. So I think if we've clarified all your doubts, do let us know. If not, whatever we've missed, please ask of us. So we'll make sure that we make another video on it. And in the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, ready?